I'm going to read a comment from a woman. And I'm reading this comment because, I think, as I've said before on the show, I think when women either give advice or when they are trying to say what they would or would not accept in a situation, I think they mean well, but they're not a guy that has actually experienced the opposite of what they're trying to talk about, right? So this woman says, under my pull away test video, where I say like, hey, if she's pulling away, the best thing you can do is to pull away also, and then basically watch her come back. And then so she says, as a woman, I can tell you that I absolutely hate these games. Tell me how you feel. Tell me how you feel, and I'll be straight with you about my feelings. If a guy withdraws from me, I assume he's not interested and I move on. No point in crying if someone is not into me. I've got plenty to offer for someone who does. Now let's backtrack to a question I answered earlier, which was this other guy's thing where he said, hey, after our second date, I asked if she would be interested in dating, which is basically saying, I want you to be the girlfriend because I care about you and have feelings. And her response was she wasn't quite there and is now in the friend zone. This proves that women are going to say like how they would react in a situation, but it's an abstract concept. Like if you go to a woman and say, hey, if a guy pulled away from you, would you continue to be interested and want to go out with him if he came back to you later? Most women are going to tell you to your face, no, I wouldn't do that because he's playing games and I'd be mad. And this is why you can't ask women directly what they would do. You have to ask them in the past, what have you done? So you can ask a girl, get the same answer, but in a different way, right? You say to her, so was there ever a guy that you were talking to that initially played hard to get? Maybe he was texting you a lot first and then he wasn't, and then you got with him later. Like, has that ever happened? And most women will cop to, well, I mean, no, I don't like play those games, except for there was this one guy that, okay, he was really, really cute and he checked all my boxes. And so he texted me a couple times and then he went away for like a week and I was really mad about it. And then he got back in touch with me and said he was out of town visiting his mother. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet. And then we went out. So what does that mean? That the thing she said about pulling away and hating these games is a lie. The tell me how you feel and I'll be straight with you part is clearly a lie, because if you're a guy watching this, you've probably done this. Like I know in my teenage years and early 20s, I was all about, I don't want to play games. I want to be honest. I want to tell this woman straight to her face, I like you. I have feelings, because that's what the movies told me to do. And in the movies, it always works, especially for that nerdy guy who's chasing that hot girl. And I'm going to be that nerd. I'm that nerdy guy right now. So I'm going to test that out. I'm going to leave her a note. Hey, I'm feeling these things. I really care for you. I think we'd be so great together. Here's a note. They stop talking to me. They go ghost. They hook up with my best friend. Like, so everything she's saying is theory. Tell me how you feel and I'll be straight with you. And what she's also saying is this, what she doesn't realize she's saying is this, is that, yeah, she'll tell you how she feels, but she's assuming that when a guy tells her how he feels, that he's going to do it at the right time, which for women is 2 to 3 months into dating. What she's not aware of is that most guys are feeling these things after 2 or 3 dates. And so it's hard for women to conceptualize, but why would a guy come to me after 2 or 3 dates and tell me his feelings? We've only known each other for 2 or 3 dates, which is like 6 or 7 hours. He doesn't know me long enough to have made that decision, but she doesn't know how men process things. She doesn't know that the things we're looking for are a lot faster to assess than what she's looking for. And so to her, telling the advice of tell me how you feel sounds like a good idea, because to her, she's thinking you're on the same 2 to 3 month calendar that she's on. So if you go to her after 2 or 3 dates and say, hey, I have feelings for you. Yeah, she's going to be straight with you and say, oh, but I'm not there yet. And therefore we can't be in a relationship. And then she's going to think, oh, he got there too fast. What's going on? Which is why I tell you guys, even if you feel things after 2 or 3 dates, you do not verbalize that crap. You wait until she comes to you and says, what are we? Now, most guys that have been brainwashed by media will think, but then I'm lying. But then I'm not being honest. Are you really? Because here's the thing, guys. This is very important, right? Just because you feel a thing in the moment doesn't mean that that's actually what you're feeling. So when you think I'm feeling these lovey-dovey feelings, I'm feeling like I already won her. What you're actually feeling is the lustful desire to want to take her down, especially if you haven't done it yet. This is why they have the thing called post-nut clarity, where it's like after you hook up with the woman, you're like, oh, goggles off. Oh, I realize she now has problems now. I realize that she has these weird habits that I don't like. I realize her friends are probably really crappy. Like, why didn't I see this before? Because you were consumed in lust and your lust was leading you to be able to hook up with her. All right. So when you start thinking you're feeling these things of love and grandeur, realize that it's lust, and realize that after 2 or 3 dates, if you haven't hooked up with her yet, all the things you're feeling is your body's way of motivating you to get the hookup. You have to look past that feeling and get to, but wait, do I legitimately know her story yet? Have I really spent enough time to see if we match on certain ideas? Like, if you haven't spent that time, you got to have in your head, even if I think I'm feeling the most lovey-dovey feelings, I got to hold that to myself, because if I'm straight with her about that, she's going to walk, all right? And then this part where she says, if a guy withdraws from me, I assume he's not interested and I move on. Caveat, if it's a guy that she's highly interested in, then that guy can withdraw. And I can tell you from experience what's going to happen. She's going to text. She's going to try to call. She's going to want to know what's wrong. Can we have a conversation? She's going to post on Facebook these hinty type posts that indicate like, oh, all these guys treat me so blah, 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 blah. And that's just her emoting out that she actually wants to be with you, but you're not contacting her. I can assure you, and the withdrawal, again, is subjective. And I say this to guys too, when I talk about women, when it's like, guys will say, oh my God, it's been 2 days since she texted me. She's withdrawing or pulling away. And I'm like, or she could be busy. Or it's the dating process. She could have gone up with 2 other guys in an attempt to try to see which of the 3 of you are the best ones for her, right? So you as a guy could be busy. You could be, I'm in Hollywood. You could be on set for 2 or 3 days and they don't give you access to your phone. Or you're in a camping site somewhere where you have bad reception. Or you're going to a funeral and you didn't want to have your phone on during the funeral. A woman could see that as withdrawing and have a throw a fit about it. And you know what? Good. Because I also tell you guys that you need to have things set in place that allow you as the guy to test a woman's temperament. So if you do happen to withdraw, or if you happen to not text her back for a few hours and she comes back at you with these angry texts, guess what? You found out early on that she is emotionally unstable, and you can get out. You can get out now when your feelings are not fully involved, versus you don't test this stuff out. And then down the line, you figure out she has an attitude problem and it's too late because now your feelings are there and you put all the sunken cost in and it's harder to backtrack, right? But I said to say is that if you withdraw, a woman that has high interest will still be there. If you withdraw for a month, a week, a year, 2 years, if the interest is there and you touch that part of her that's like, oh my God, he makes me feel like no other guy, then when you come back, she will still be there. Now, again, she's talking about hypothetical. She says, if a guy, she's not talking about any particular guy. She's trying to make a point by using an example of an anonymous guy that she has no feelings or attachment to withdrawing. It's different when she's in the actual scenario. This is why, again, I say, as well-meaning as women are, because they're emotional, their analytical reasonings for how they would act on things are going to be completely different and probably thrown out the window when she has an emotional attachment to it. So that's why you have to take everything women say in the relationship realm with a grain of salt, because women are going to come to you and try to give you advice about what women want and how they feel about things and whatever, and it's all hypothetical. They don't know because they're not men that are dating women. So just want to put my 2 cents out there about that.
You's a bad boy, but you can't stop, won't stop. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-class man. You a high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man.